Welcome to Game Night Tonight. Today, we're going to be sharing with you our top 10 favorite board games of all time. We're really excited. Skeletor here and I are going to be sharing with you our collective list of top 10 favorite games. It went about 15 games deep, so we had a lot of overlap, but there were some narrowing down that we had to do to get to this top 10 that we love. So we're going to start with our 10th one.
Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Sentinels of the Multiverse. Can you explain this game for us?
Yeah, first of all, don't Google it. They're not real. It's just for the game itself. They might have a comic at this point. It's been out for a while, but they didn't originally. So essentially, you each start with a deck representing your individual heroes. They all have different powers, different abilities, different weaknesses. And then you set up, it's you and other heroes, the other players, versus a villain in a setting. So each one of these is different. So you have your different heroes, your different villains, and your different settings. So you have like a prehistoric setting, or you'll be on a Mars base, and then you'll have different major villains to face, and they have their own decks. So you're trying to take down the villain while surviving whatever environment you're in, and you have to work together before you die or the villain dies. It's actually quite a fun co-op game, especially for those of you who like deck builders. It's not a deck builder. It's kind of like starting at the very end of a deck building game.
It is a lot of fun. Honestly, like you said, it changes between the environment, the heroes, and the villains. So there's a lot of mix and match that can go on there. Tons of possibilities. A lot of fun. I can't remember how many total players can play this game.
As many as you have heroes.
So there you go. I think there's additional expansions for this as well.
It starts out with like 5 or 6 heroes, but I think you can go up to a maximum of like 20, 22 are out right now. So
just makes the game a lot longer, obviously, and the villain a little bit easier to beat, I'm sure, over time if you have a lot of people playing. But we love this game. Number 10. There we go. I have number 9 over here. We both love this game. It's the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle game. This game, it goes up to 2 to 4. With the new expansion, you can actually go up to 5 players now. But it is like unto the Sentinels game. It is a deck building game, but Sentinels, you start with a deck, whereas this one, you're building your deck. So you're going through each individual year at Hogwarts. And in those years, you're going to learn new spells, gain new allies, new different items that you're going to collect. And all of those are going to help you to defeat Voldemort and all of his goons, right? You got like Draco Malfoy, his dad. You got all these different guys you're going to have to defeat to eventually end up beating him in year 7 fully. So,
and it is quite a remarkable game, even though a lot of times when a game comes from a major well-known book series or TV series, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be peachy. They're just trying to ride off of the fame of it, but they built this one from the ground up, and it is phenomenal. Almost everything you can think of from either the books or the movies is in there, every character, and there are tons of expansions once you get bored of the base game. But I would say this thing has a lot of replayability and is easy enough for the youngins to understand. So I would say it says ages 11 and up, but you could probably go as young as 8.
Yeah. And really, if they're a Harry Potter fan, get them into this, because this game it's on point. Like you said, it really follows the movies well, all the characters and everything. That brings us to number 8. We're on 8. That was 10, 8. No, 9 and 8.
Dead of Winter. Do I have that the wrong way?
No, I think you nailed it right there. Okay. Dead of Winter.
So Dead of Winter is a game that I actually tried to convince this guy to buy for about a year, mainly because I didn't want to buy it myself, but I really wanted to play it.
And finally did it, and let's be real, it's
awesome. A phenomenal game. So it kind of combines the elements of BS, if you've ever played that with your friends, with a zombie apocalypse survival game, which is so fun, because essentially what you are is you're a colony, but one of you is potentially betraying everybody. You all get your assignments in the beginning, and sometimes there's a betrayer, sometimes there's not. And so you go out and collect resources with your characters, or you shore up defenses. And as you're collecting the resources that you need every round, you'll say, okay, you put a cards face down and say, I gathered this much gasoline and this much food. And at the end of the round, you shuffle those and you look at them. You don't know who put in what, but you can lie the whole way through while trying to do things. And there's a ton of different win scenarios for each individual character. So it's just a lot of fun, a lot of backstabbing, just that kind of, if you like those zombie games and those zombie movies, this is for you. Trust me, it is the most comprehensive of any of them I've ever played.
If you want to be an actual zombie apocalypse with your friends, this is the game to do it in. Like you said, a lot of fun, a lot of backstabbing, little like you could be little shifty here and there, but you're just looting all these different places. But try not to make too much noise because then the zombies come and then you have a hard time getting out. But awesome game. We love this game. It's so fun. That brings us to number 7, which we deemed as Spirit Island. This game, I just randomly picked it up because I like the artwork, but I am glad I did because this game is so much fun. So ultimately, you are a spirit on this island. You have the natives there that are defending the island, but they really can't attack. They're good at defending if they stay alive. But you are the one who protects them and then helps with your powers, your innate powers, to defeat the explorers who are trying to reign and develop and just make cities, towns, everything like that. But they cause blight on the land as well, which harms you as a spirit because you are part of the land. You are the island, right? Hence Spirit Island. But there's a number of different island spirits that you can be. Like there's the Thunderbird, there's the rock monster, there's like wind, there's water, like everything is in here. And it has expansions as well, which adds even more to it. But you're helping the natives to drive off and fend off the explorers and cause fear so that they get off of that island and are done, right? So this is a great co-op game. As a starter, I think it was only 4 players. Now it goes up to 6 with the expansion, but 4-player game, it's a little bit lengthier, but the strategy in this game is fun because you're working together as spirits with your teammates to drive these explorers out.
And one of the things that I find the most fun about this game is the fact that it is not easy.
Not in the slightest,
At
honestly.
all. So it's not one of those games where you can expect to win most of the time. You really have to coordinate which spirits you're going to be when you're playing together and just a solid strategy. If you don't, you're going to get et. So it's just, you really need to know what you're doing with this game. So much fun. Definitely deserves a 7 spot.
Absolutely. That brings us to number 6.
Okay.
Let's see if you can get this up here.
He would have every part of this. Okay. Now, this is the Red Dragon Inn. The first time I played this, he said, I got a new game, you have to try it. And it is another one like the Sentinels of the Multiverse, where you start with a deck depending on the character you are, but instead of facing off against like together as a co-op, you're versus each other. So this essentially is the fantasy setting. You've all gone on your adventures, and then you come back to the tavern in the town. And so you're all of these really experienced adventurers, and now you're just having drinking games and playing poker. And the last one who is conscious and with money is the winner. So the thing is, you're playing poker, trying to get your friends to get out of money or get so drunk that they can't see straight anymore. Phenomenal game. Everybody has, just like Sentinels, has their own powers, their own ways to kind of poke at each other, slip in, extra drinks to each other. Really fun game. And I have only played, I think, maybe 5 or 6 of the characters. After he showed this to me, I went and bought it. It's just such a fun game. I play it with my whole family. We have an absolute laugh.
I love this game because of the like the complexity of the characters. As you can see, this is the character trove. So this is number 5. They have like 8 out right now of the base sets plus all the allies. I have all of them except for like 3 of the packs. So I love this game. Like he said, it is very fun. Some people actually use it as a real drinking game so that when they actually drink in the game, they drink in real life. That was how it was introduced to us originally. They said their buddies did that and it was a lot of fun. But at the same time, they were all just done for by the end of the night. Regardless, tons of fun. It's fun because you can interject with cards. It doesn't have to be your turn. You can rebuttal with like, oh, you got to drink more, or like, I'm going to hit you for like whatever, like just tons of stuff happening, right? All the time. So the more people you get involved in this game, the more fun it is. So it's fun with like 1 to 3, like two to 3 people, right? It's okay. But when you get up to like 5, 6,
No,
7,
you need as many people as possible to play this game. It's definitely one you pull out at the party. It's so much fun.
so huge groups, you can go up like kind of like he said with the Sentinels, however many heroes you have, however many characters and people are willing to play this game, you can play. So it is a ton of fun, which is why we deemed it as number, what are we at? 5? So 10, 9, 8,
1 plus 2 plus 1.
You have 5 left.
Right.
This was number 6. Take it away. And that brings us to number 4, which is Talisman, the Kingdom Hearts version. So Talisman has a couple of different versions. There's the regular Talisman, there's Talisman Harry Potter, there's Talisman Kingdom Hearts. Now, Kingdom Hearts is originally a video game. So they made this video game, which brings in Disney characters, kind of in with some Final Fantasy looking characters, right? Because it was made by the same people.
And Final Fantasy characters.
Well, there you go. So it's all of the above. But the cool thing about this game is that it brings in the nostalgia of Disney into the game, right? Because you're going to the different places in the Disney kingdoms, different Disney movies. You see all the different characters. Everything is in here, but you're at the same time going on an adventure to find a Keyblade to ultimately unlock the dark or shut the dark door, right? The door of darkness. That's what it's called, door of darkness. So it's not a co-op, but you're working to find different followers, items, things that will boost your magic and your strength and your health to be able to get to the end game and ultimately shut that door.
Right. And just like the Harry Potter one doesn't write off of the fanfic at all. It's like I said, got other versions before this version of it. And you don't have to be a fan of it. I am a super fan of Kingdom Hearts. I played them. I was the same age as the characters when they first came out, all the way back in the early 2000s. Love it to death. Played all, I think, 14 games at this point. And he had me play this one not too long ago, actually, and instantly rose to the top of my favorite. I had never played a Talisman game before. Super fun. If you know the characters and have played the actual game, it's even more fun. If you haven't,
Still tons of fun.
Tons of
fun. I mean, I've only played Kingdom Hearts 3, but I still like it. Like, I love the Disney fact of it, and it's just great. So,
brings you right back to your childhood with every world you go to.
Tons of fun, which is why this was deemed as number 5 for us.
Right.
Brings us to number 4.
Clank.
Oh, Clank.
Now, for those of you who remember a little game called Don't Wake Daddy, this is like the grown-up version in a fantasy setting. So you're trying not to wake the dragon. So essentially what's going on is you've been hired by some townspeople to go to a local ruin and dig up some treasure. The only problem is it's in a castle where a dragon lives and is keeping the treasure to himself. So you have to run down there as competing thieves and try and get the most treasure and get out. Wackiness ensues. You've got all sorts of monsters down there, and it is a deck builder game. So what that means, as with the others, rather than starting with a deck in this one, you start with maybe 10 cards.
I think it's 10 cards, yeah.
And you can build all the way up to like 60 cards by the time it's done. So you're using your stuff you get each turn to buy more cards and buy more items, and then you shuffle those back into your deck and you continue going. And so now you've got new cards in your deck, and then you shuffle more until you build yourself a deck. The whole time you're exploring this underground labyrinth. Now, every single one of the games comes with a reversible board, so just there you have that. But then there's, I think, 5 expansions out at this point. I may be wrong about that.
But there's quite a few. There's a good handful.
There's a good handful of them. Super fun game. I think it only goes up to 5 players, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're correct.
2 to 4. Goes up to 4 players. But at the same time, I mean, this is one, my dear mother, love her to death. She does not get complicated games well. She loves this one. Absolutely does. I mean, she's that girl that's like, always like, well, let's play 5 Crowns or Skip-Bo. And I'm like, how about Clank, Mom? Okay, we'll play Clank. So it's not too hard to understand and still a lot of fun.
And with the name Clank, you're making noise as you're going through the castle, looting and stuff, and that's what's going to wake up the dragon. So the unpredictability of when the dragon's going to wake up, is he getting, like more sounds coming? Like, are you going to be one who he's going to hunt after? You don't know. Like, so there's a lot of stuff happening. Like you said, you're going to run into all sorts of different creatures, everything like that. But tons of fun. A lot of unpredictability. And as he was saying it, I was like, man, we have a lot of games that are deck building games. We really love deck building games. It's just a lot more fun because you can build it and it changes every single time you play. So a lot of fun, which is why this was deemed as number 4. All right. That brings us to, hold on, number 3, Coup. How could a game this small be so much fun? We have no idea, but it is awesome. So this game, if you can think of the game Mafia and BS combined. So you play as two different characters, right? You're two different types of people. Whether it's an assassin, you can be the captain, you can be an interrogator, like different characters, right? You're two of them, and you're trying to outlast the other people. So this one goes great with a ton of people as well. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how many people you play with because it's really fun. You're collecting money, you're paying to have people cooed or killed, like one of their characters off. But if somebody calls you out on like who you're claiming to be, that's where the BS part comes in. Then you lose a character. But if you called them out or you were actually telling the truth, then they lose their character. So like it always changes. You try and get each other's tells and their lies and everything. So much fun. Like I don't know how many hours I have spent on this game alone.
We've been playing this together since basically we first met, over a decade. And this game is so much fun. And like you said, you have two characters, you keep them face down so nobody else can see your characters, and you're trying to guess other people's characters. So you can either coup them to get one of the make them choose a character to remove, or you can guess one of their characters, and then it becomes a game of BS. They're like, "Are you sure?" Because if not, then you have to remove yours. So you're calling out the BS just like you would in a BS game. Super fun. I mean, we because it's so compact, so small, and so easy to take around with you. I mean, we'll go to plays. We'll
Everywhere.
go to anywhere that there's going to be some time to kill. Take it when you have a bunch of kids that you have to entertain at like a picnic or something like that. Trust me, you want this game. It's beautiful for that.
And I love that he brought that up. Transportability, amazing. You can like literally stick this in your coat pocket and just take it everywhere that you want. But that is why this is deemed as number 3 on our list.
Alrighty.
Brings us to number 2.
Oh, of course, another.
Yeah, well. All right.
My heavy and his heavy are two different things. Okay, DC Deck Builder. Now,
Deck building game again.
this
Sorry.
is collectively, I think, between the two of us, one of our favorite games of all time.
Absolutely.
I introduced you to this
Oh my gosh. 2014,
something like that.
Yeah.
And instantly loved it. And he instantly went to the gaming store that I am good friends with and dropped hundreds of dollars on this and everything that goes with it.
Worth it. Worth it.
It's not that much anymore. I mean, you can get the base game for like 50. But it is probably if you've never played a deck builder before, and we've been talking about deck builders the whole time, and you're like, what even is that? This is a good starter. It has all the DC characters that you grew up with. It is a game essentially where you start out, like I said, with a base amount of cards. There's a huge deck in the middle, and you use currency to buy new cards. And in this one, you're kind of co-op and kind of not. So there is a supervillain to take down. There's a stack of supervillains actually, and every time they appear, you'll have like the Joker appears or Lex Luthor, and you have to take them on as one of the heroes. And you build your deck accordingly. Now, where it gets really complicated is you're competing for the cards to build your deck. And at the end of the game, different cards are worth different points. So not only do you have to beat the villain, then you have to beat everybody else around you. So you're attacking your allies as much as you are the villain, and it just becomes so much fun so quickly with all of the different combinations you can have in these decks.
And with the deck building possibilities, it's insane. Like this game changes all the time because sometimes you'll get your favorite cards, sometimes you won't. And like you said, it can be kind of like co-op-ish, but there are different expansions that do truly make it co-op. So you're fighting against some ultimate supervillains instead of just regular supervillains. And in that, like my wife and I, we play this game constantly. Like we've taken it on vacations, put it in our carry-on because it weighs so much. We wouldn't be able to do it on a check-on bag, but carry-on will take this and we will play it for hours while we're on vacation. This game is just so much fun because the possibilities of building up your power, building up your different abilities that you have to be able to beat those supervillains and get the most victory points, or just do the co-op version where you're just shooting to try and kill the ultimate supervillains overall. But man, tons and tons of hours have been spent in this, and I have like every expansion. It is so good. It is so good. Love this game. All right, that is why it is deemed as number 2.
Okay.
Which brings us to our very final game, which it is just amazing.
I can't tell you how this is actually what brought us together.
Yes, indeed it is. Betrayal at House on the Hill. Now this game, I cannot stress enough like how incredible this game is. So this can be played up to 6 players, right? And you are going into a haunted mansion because you're trying to escape a storm, right? You get into the haunted mansion, the door slams shut, it locks you in. All you can see are like the stairways up, and that's it. So you're like, I gotta explore this place. We gotta figure what this place is. So you start exploring room by room collectively. So it's a co-op at first. So you're working together, finding out different rooms, different things are happening, like different walls are going to be shifting, moving, different things are, it's a haunted mansion. Let's be real. Everything's happening in this mansion that you can think of. All the scary movies, horror movies that you've ever watched or heard of, it's basically right here. So you're going and exploring, and then at one point in the game, a traitor is revealed, or like a monster or something comes into the house, and you either have to collectively work together, or sometimes it's all against one, right? So different things that happen. There's 50 scenarios in the base game. With the expansion, you have up to 100 different scenarios based on what items you collect, where you collect them, where it happens. But this game, oh my gosh, it changes so much, and that's what makes it so fun.
And when you're exploring the house, so it's got different tiles for the house. So the house is almost never the same, because when you go to move to a new space, you say, okay, I'm moving to one of the 3 levels of the house. You pull from that tile, and so it's different every time. And that means that the items that you collect are different every time, and what you get is different every time. So when you start, and there's, I would say about 60% of the scenarios, there is at least one betrayer, and he is, it's gets so involved, because as soon as that betrayal happens, it'll tell you who the betrayer is, and betrayer has to take a separate guidebook, go off and read what he has to do to defeat everybody else, and they read what they have to do to defeat him, but you don't know what each other are doing half the time, and so you'll come back with your strategies, and it is so much fun. And I remember I was driving home. I think I was driving you home.
Yep, you were.
And this was like the first night that we met. And I'm sitting in the front of the car trying to act cool as you do in your early 20s. And I was just like, yeah, this is and I've been playing a game recently called Betrayal. And he's like, I love Betrayal, and like instant friends. And then, here over a decade later because of this thing, and we have played it to death, and I still have only done about 17 scenarios.
Yeah, I'm probably about the same. I have not finished nearly like a quarter of these scenarios. There's just so much, but you play it over and over and over. And honestly, if you would have just let out with, hi, my name is Skeletor, I think I would have been friends anyway. So, like next time, just lead with your name if you ever meet somebody. But
Skeletor makes more friends than He-Man.
But one thing that we love about this game, not only just how fun it is, but you try and make it even more fun. Like I'm kind of cheesy in this way, but like I read the cards and stuff in like voices and like just trying to like make noises, that kind of stuff. But sometimes we'll turn on ambient music that's like kind of creepy, spooky music.
Or we'll do it when we're out camping and we got tiki torches around us.
That one's way fun too. Like just a lantern on the table, this game, darkness all around, you're in the woods. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is by far our favorite game collectively. And like he said, it brought us together, Skeletor and me, forever. Took him away from He-Man. He hasn't been pestering that guy for a while, so it's awesome. But there you have it, our top 10 favorite games of all time. Please comment below. We want to see which ones you've either played or which ones that you would suggest maybe make the list. We're gonna try and do this collectively, like over the next few years or more, who knows, like maybe different games will push up and we'll just do a new video based on that. But those are our top 10 recommendations. Again, comment below. We want to hear what your recommendations are, as well as any future videos that Skeletor might be in, what you want him to wear. Like we just like having him dress up into different characters, different costumes. I mean, if you want me to dress up in something too, I'll take it. But oh man, these are some of our favorite games. Like I just get excited about talking about them. Even like playing them is a whole different level, but talking about them, I just get excited. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Game Night Tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below and hit that bell for the notifications for any future videos. But we will catch you next time on Game Night Tonight.